Yes. Linda Rose's bill, she works for the county.
Yeah, she's not going to be here tonight.
She's not going to be here today.
Her, but... Thank you, guys. We need it.
No. She's been,
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. The meeting is starting now. One, two. Can you hear me now? Hi, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Thomas Aceves. Everyone, we're going to come to order for the meeting. Thank you for coming. Tim, I'm sorry. Thanks for everybody for coming tonight to the meeting. I'm Thomas Aceves, chairperson of the committee, the council. I appreciate it. The energy and the commitment to trying to find celebration of successes and, of course, champion those, of course, concerns and trying to find resolution together for the challenges we face in our communities. These two communities, of course, are Upper Lake and Nice. And we'll always cover topics and continue to have input on issues that come up in both areas, and it's very important to that. So we're going to start by taking the roll call. And Kate, you, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take the roll call. Tim Chiara.
Present.
Linda is out today, Linda Alexander. Lisa Benavides is out today. David Eby.
Eby here.
Eby. Catherine. Kate. Parankima. Parankima. There we go. And Claudine Pedricelli.
I'm here.
Great. Let's go ahead.
We have a quorum.
And we have a quorum. So we're going to go ahead and pledge allegiance to the flag. All right.
Go.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Okay, we're going to bring action to the council. We're going to make a motion. Did everyone get to read the minutes?
yes.
Yep.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
And does someone have a second?
Second.
Does the council approve of the minutes?
Yes.
All those in favor?
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed?
All those opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Now we're going to have public input, and it's going to be up to 3 minutes per citizen to provide input on any item not on the agenda but within the council's jurisdiction. Worth Chair can extend the time I can extend the time to accommodate item if not appearing on the agenda. These items can often be further discussed on a future agenda. So you'll have 3 minutes. Does anybody want to make any public input tonight?
There's a hand back there.
If you could come up to the microphone,
The podium.
the podium, and state your name and where you live at. And yeah, Lynn, come on up and we'll do that for you.
Did you turn it on?
Yeah, it should be on, Lynn.
And then it just gently tilts down. It tilts up and down, up and down. Can we show her how to tilt up and down? And then, folks, if you just watched, it just tilts up and down. No, Tim. It just rocked over. Yeah. There you go. Up and down.
Testing, 1, 2. Testing. Is it working?
Yes.
It's working. Okay. I live at 4088 Manzanilla Drive in Nice. And what I'm upset about is I almost got killed yesterday because a yellow and white dirt bike, it was about a 17-year-old male. I was petting my cat on Laneway on the road, and where my back of my house is, and he intentionally did a U-turn on Dawes, came at me with a wheelie, and came straight at me behind my house on my property. And if I hadn't ducked over here, I would have been killed. I would have been killed or badly injured.
Well, that's
It was an intentional threat. I ran into the house. My husband witnessed what he looked like quickly, and I called 911. I said, I need the police, please. I almost got killed out here behind my house. So the dispatcher said, calm down, stop yelling and screaming. And I said, okay. And they said, we're going to have the sheriff call you. And I waited an hour till the sheriff called me, and I'm crying. And he said, stop yelling. And I have his name, Sheriff Faith, F-A-E-T-H, or it's Deputy Sheriff. And he says, okay, I'll come out. So I'm waiting again like another hour. He finally comes out. I point to the trailer where the yellow and white dirt bike was that almost killed me. And he said, well, okay, I'll go talk to them. And you go back in your house, he said. So I don't feel safe in Nice. I don't feel safe where I live. I'm crying every day about it. I don't feel like we have any police in Nice. It's terrible what the blight just brings in the gangs and the drug dealers and the drug addicts and the dirt bikers. And I'm spending thousands of dollars on my house and my retaining wall. And I'm thinking, should I put my house up for sale and get the hell out of Lake County? I don't know, but I can't sleep at night. I'm just crying all the time about it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lynn. Does anybody else would like to do a public speaking on any subject not on the agenda tonight? I like to mention, I like to do a public input myself. This is based on a little bit follow up on her that's not on the agenda. I noticed the Board of Supervisors has agreed to spend on a bond, I think it's like 20 million on projects, including the armory, as you might have read, the remodel of the armory for the Sheriff's Department. I think they're going to spend multi-million dollars to get that organized. And I'm hoping with this money spent that they're going to have a plan in action to improve the patrolling and the coverage of our neighborhoods. Maybe we'll have to bring in the sheriff to answer some questions on exactly how that money is going to improve our enforcement of laws in our communities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have public input tonight besides what's not on the agenda? Okay, thank you guys. Now we're going to go next to Barbara. If you want to come on up, introduce yourself and your item that you're speaking about, which is about the biochar. I know a lot of you here tonight. And she's going to update us. And Julia's coming up, help with the tech.
I have provided my computer so far.
Yeah, thank you, Julia, for helping out on the night with that.
should we?
I don't know what else. Did you need anything else from us, Barbara, to do the presentation?
Do I need a microphone?
Yeah, I'll give you right here.
Hello. Hi, my name is Barbara Morris, and I am here to speak about the project going into, or that was passed by the Planning Commission going to 755 East Highway 20. I just want to say, you know, it's a, huh? Yeah, speaking about the appeal. This is the, right here, this is the application to the project right here. 269.
Barbara, can you speak into the microphone at all times so we can get you on?
269 pages. And just as on a personal note, I don't believe that the Planning Commission read this because there's so many questions in it and they didn't ask one. So go ahead. This is the property. This is the 40 acres right here. Prime ag, preserve land. And go ahead. This is what it used to look like. It was beautiful. Just like so many places in Upper Lake right now, we're losing our orchards and our vineyards. Go ahead. I'm just going to go through these slowly. It was a thriving vineyard. It's really beautiful. And as you can see, it's zoned egg preserve, which is prime farmland. So it was purchased by the Lake County Watershed Protection District, also known as the Board of Supervisors. Same thing. Same people. And it was purchased to protect, enhance flood protection corridors while preserving or enhancing wildlife values of the property. And we feel that's what the property should be used for. This is what it looks like now. It was purchased in 2015, and the Lake County Watershed Protection District brought in a prison crew to clear the land, and what they did was smash everything down onto the land. Plastics, wires, posts. It's a different, completely different and shameful what they did to that land. So it's been sitting like that for years, and they decided to lease it to Scotts Valley Energy Corporation, a 15-year lease, $100 a year, which may be renewed. And a big point we want to make is that a use permit is for life. It does not go with the people. It goes with the land. So a use permit that's granted for this land stays with this land. They state down in the 4th, 5th, 6th bullet point that the lease agreement was going to help them with their maintenance of the land, which they never did. So, next. This project is being funded by federal dollars. I'm not sure what's been awarded yet. A lot of funds are frozen at this point, I think. But the point is that it's federal money, and federal funding should require a NEPA review, which is National Environmental Policy Act, which is not in this 269 pages. There is not a NEPA review. And there should be, because it's federal money. The activities not excluded from NEPA review are potential for air emissions, proximity to environmentally sensitive areas, such as floodplains, wetlands, cultural sites, proximity to sensitive or indigenous populations, such as preschools, the mobile home park, the elderly, and the Habamamatal. Public controversy surrounding the activity can exclude it. And if it involves the development or use of new technologies with unproven impacts, which we believe. So the Artist 200 is part of the technology that will be used in the syngas and the pyrolysis system. And we contacted the owner of the company that made the machine for Scotts Valley and sent him an email saying we'd like more information, data on emissions, and if they could steer us to a working, operating system that's not a demo system that they're just firing up when we're there, but actually something that's ongoing and working on a daily basis. He couldn't do that because the Artist 200, as you can see here, the only one that they've made and sold is going to Scotts Valley Energy Corporation. And so we maintain that there's no data to prove that this technology is safe. Now, this triggered a CEQA review, which is in the application. And I just want you to note that CEQA requires the public agencies to look before they leap. Take the time to consider the consequences. So this is one section from the CEQA, and they have a biologist come in and rate everything with these potentially significant impact and so on. And I'd like to mention that the biologist that they hired to do this used to work at Scotts Valley Energy Corporation, or not, for the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo for 3 years, Lawrence Ray. And so when it says, will it convert prime farmland, unique farmland, or farmland of state-wide importance, less than significant impact? Will it involve other changes to the existing environment in which, due to their location or nature, could result in conversion of farmland to non-agricultural use or conversion of forest use? Less than significant impact. And the Planning Commission put in their notes, most of the development would not be permanently affixed to the land and could be returned to its natural state when the lease ends in 10 to 15 years. But the land is, part of their plan is to put in a 14-foot wide road, 1,000 feet long, and 1 acre of rock, 6 inches deep. It would be covered with 55,000 plastic pavers, and for a total of 1,740 total cubic yards of rock added to the site, along with the 55,000 plastic pavers. Now, I think you could pick the pavers up if they're going to go pick them all, 55,000 of them up, but I don't know if they can get that rock out of the ground. I don't think so. So this is the 1 acre is in red, and that's the part that's supposed to be gravelled. And then the road coming in, the 1,000-foot road comes in there. But all the wood chips, this is 5 acres altogether, all the wood chips are just sitting on the ground. How are they going to pick those up? You need to get in there with a lifter or a tractor or something and pick them up. You're not going to be able to go through the mud. So I maintain that this entire 5 acres is going to end up with gravel on it at some point, and who's going to know, you know? So I think there could be a lot more rock put into that area. So I don't believe that the land will be restored to its natural state. So waterways. This is interesting. The waterways let me get this here. In the application, there's 5 different maps here that came out of the application. None of them show this stream right here. And this is it right here. This is Rodman Slough right here. And I just want you to see that it comes directly to Rodman Slough area. So it's a small Class 2 stream that runs completely down the west side of the property. This waterway has been diverted to this one. And so this waterway, it only exists when it rains quite a bit, and the water runs on that side. So it's an important waterway. My property's just above it, and It runs about 5 months out of the year. For some reason, I can't do this and hold the mic, but each of these maps, this waterway's been removed from all of them. Not sure why that would be, but I kind of am wondering if it, and this also describes that the property line runs down the middle of that waterway, center of the creek. This is from the grant deed for the property. So you can see on this 2 examples, the blue line stream going to the east is included, but the one that goes to the west is not there. And this is the border color, runs to the east, but the west. But you will notice that there's a road here. That's a dirt road. And it's right on the bank of the creek. Go ahead. In the biologist Lawrence Ray describing the land, he says a blue line stream that is a tributary to Clear Lake flows from north to south, north under Highway 20 before entering the site. From northwest, it flows to the southeast and then flows south through a channel through the east side of the property line. It's completely false. That's not how the water runs. And anybody that went to that place would see that it runs down the east, down the west side, not on the east side. I'm wondering if it's because of this grading ordinance. So this stream is a Class 2 water course. It has aquatic plants. And a Class 2 water course has a setback of 50 feet for grading purposes from a waterway. So if they want to put that road in, that 14-foot wide, 1,000-foot long road with all that gravel and all those pavers, they're supposed to move it over 50 feet up the middle of the property. This is a floodplain, and this area was evacuated in 1983, 1986, 1998, with imminent evacuation in 1995 due to flooding. And the new floodplain maps will show it within the 100-year flood area. This link is to a YouTube video that talks about the flood plain and the 100-year flood and what is imminently going to happen in Upper Lake if those levees aren't taken care of. And this property will flood. So we're concerned that when it does flood, it's going to have 6 100-foot long, 8-foot high piles of wood chips. It's going to have biomass located in that area, and up to 15 tons of biochar will be stored on site. So if there is a flood, all this stuff can go straight into Rodman's through the lake, into that little waterway. It's disaster. This is interesting. This is air quality. This is from, everything in here is lifted directly out of the application. It says, the proposed project was routed to the Lake County Air Quality Management District for review and commenting. The following mitigation measures would reduce criteria air pollutants to less than significant. Doug Gebhardt at Air Quality said he has never received anything in writing on this project. And those mitigations they did not send back. Brian Hall is kind of the person that steered us towards the problems in this application in the first place. I have 20 copies of his report here. Anybody that wants one, please feel free to take one. He, rather than go through all of them, and I know because we're short of time, he has big concerns about there not being any professional stamps or seals on any of the plans. I'll just read the very end. The architectural, civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and land surveying notes, plans, details, and specifications for this project have not been prepared by a single licensed professional and contain significant errors and omissions that pose a threat to the environment and public safety. In addition, since the documents were not prepared by a licensed design professional, they are likely not covered by professional liability insurance. For errors and omissions, since insurance companies only insure licensed design professionals for the planning and design of construction projects, the proposed location is not a suitable spot for what appears to be a pilot project for future biochar facilities. If approved, I believe hard lessons will be learned from this project at the expense of the environment and the local community. He's also working on, he has more to say. He's in touch with Caltrans and wants to talk more about the flood. These are the business and profession codes that are violated in this application, and they're spelled out in that report. So this is the weirdest part of the whole thing, Steve Rumbaugh. I'm sorry to say. On all the plans, and I didn't want to put them all up there so that, you know, these are the plans. All these. Prepared by Steve Rumbaugh, project manager. And Steve Rumbaugh is the owner of Woodbridge Energy Corporation. Woodbridge Energy Corporation has a pretty grand heading on their webpage, but when we started looking into it, the address is a UPS store. The mailing address, the physical address is a townhouse. So Steve goes on to talk about his billions of dollars in work that he's done. And these are some of, this is off his website, lifted directly. People that work for him. Go back to Randy for a minute. If you can you go backwards? Yeah, Randy Pond was CEO of Cisco Systems. He's his director and advisor. Bernard Brown, VP of Project Permitting. Bill Slayton, Governmental and Energy Advisor, the head of HUD, SMUD. Andrew Campbell, I'm going. Oh, and Lindy Von Mathieu, who is a Harvard graduated professor and the VP of Environmental Relations. And so we reached out to these people to see what they had to say about Woodbridge Energy. And my daughter wrote this email to Lindy Von Mathieu, and this is her reply. I think this is a scam or a hoax. I've never heard of this company, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I'll be investigating why they are using my name, as I did not consent to this. everyone we reached out to that replied to us had not consented to have their name. Bill Slayton wouldn't do it in an email, so he had Tara call him and said, I met the guy one time, I never gave him consent to use my information or my picture. Bernard Brown, same thing. Our lawyer will be getting in touch with you for more information. Same with Andrew Campbell. And the page got taken down because these people reached out to him. This is off the Woodbridge Energy site. Oops, the page can't be found. So here's our main concerns. The use permit is permanent, and we believe this project is permanent, not temporary. The land will not be restored to its original state. It will very probably flood within the next 10 to 15 years. There's no data on air particulate emissions. The plans are not engineered by professional licensed engineers, and there's no NEPA review. There's more, but wanted to just kind of limit it to this for now. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Barbara. Excellent, excellent review of your state of things. Before we go to the public for comment, I'm going to bring it back to the council for comment. Does anybody have any comments here at the council? I want to say one thing. We did drive out, me and Tim drove out there, I think in December, was it?
We drove down.
We drove down that side road. I just want to comment my visual experience with that. And this was December, and this was before a lot of the rain, and it was really, really saturated. Mm-hmm. And I even looked over because we wanted to see where the project might be located at, and we had to turn around because it was flooded on that dirt road, gravel road. So those concerns could be valid in my point of view of just seeing what it looks like at that point. I haven't been down there since. I don't know what the location's looking like now.
They say the road is lightly graveled. It's not. It's not. There's not any gravel till you get down into the wetland area.
I got to say, it also concerns me. I have a comment for myself about that Steve Rumbaugh and the...
He was here at the Worth meeting in September.
Yeah, and also having information on there that wasn't true or accurate of people, you said?
These are the people that he says work for him.
Yeah, okay, and those are not...
And he's not
Okay,
licensed.
so certainly there's some...
And he stood here in this room and said he's done billions of dollars worth of design work and engineering, and we couldn't find any.
That's definitely concerning for the veracity of this person and what he's trying to do and make
If you Google Woodbridge Energy Corporation, you only find what he's put on there. You will not find him attached to any projects. It's
okay. One more thing I want to say, and maybe I know Tom Jordan's here today, and we'll give you everybody and once you come up, if you want to make a comment to the reaction to this, please come to the podium and state your name in just a second. One more thing I want to say is that I noticed that with everything going on at the federal level, I'm sure everybody's being aware of what's going on, is that they mentioned they might actually, I don't know if it's true, but they might cut the energy grants that have been delivered to the tribal nations as well as other. So I don't know if that's going to depend. That's affecting this project as of yet. I just saw that come out in the paper.
That's a shame. I mean, we believe in these opportunities.
Well,
we just don't believe in this location.
This is a green initiative that was $20 billion was meant for and 1.2 or 1.5 they said was for tribes. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if this is going to affect this project or not. Yeah. Just an idea. So if you can state your name and where you're from and make your comment. Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, could we,
My name is Sherry Harris, and I talked to Barbara about, do we have any chance of talking to legal counsel about this? And I think you said, well, you talked to somebody, but then they referred you to another couple of names of attorneys maybe to talk to. Have you had a chance to look into this?
We have. We did consult with a fantastic attorney that specializes in CEQA, and she was able to point us at quite a few issues with the project, the NEPA review being one of them, another one being that there was no traffic analysis done, which is required. she said, you know, definitely get in touch with the Conservation Department. And yeah, but as far as hiring someone to stand before the board, her fee was $25,000. And we felt like we, you know, couldn't raise that much. And so we're looking into seeing if we can find counsel that will do it for less.
Yeah,
And we'll
like
put up a GoFundMe when we find that.
Maybe a pro bono, since it just
Or pro
seems-
bono.
It just seems like all the things that have been found out seem to be pretty strong against them doing it. But I just wonder if the county, and have you heard anything about them coming up for another review of our appeal? I mean, have you heard anything?
Well, there'll be an appeal before the Board of Supervisors when they put us on the agenda. It's not on the agenda yet.
Mm-hmm. They
And-
haven't given you any idea how long it's going to take?
No. They
No.
do.
So it's just sitting out there in limbo right now?
Whenever they put it on there, they said that they would let us know as
Yeah.
soon as it was on the agenda. And the more people we can get to show up when that happens,
Well,
the better.
Here's the other thing is, I talk to people about this in town, to locals, pretty regularly, and nobody knows about it. You know, they go,
That's
what
the
are you
other
talking
thing.
about? What is this,
This is the
biochar?
original letter of intent. I'm the only person that I know of that got it.
I never got one, and
You
I'm
didn't
pretty
get one?
close.
My next door neighbor, Bill Santos, didn't get one. Larry Kahn didn't get one. We're
No.
all right there.
Maybe we could copy that letter and just send it out to everybody ourselves or something, because I feel like the townspeople need to know about it, not just a few people. For us to get a number of people to show up when this happens at the courthouse, I think our only chance is strength in number if we can't hire an attorney to represent us for them to listen. You know, that's the only thing I'm concerned about, is they're still not going to listen. But it just seems like this could be a big lawsuit for the county. If things do happen, it floods or things go wrong, you would think they would be concerned about that happening after it's built. It'd be nice to prevent it in the first place.
Into their lease that the county cannot be held liable for anything that happens with this project or on this area of land that's being leased. And as far as I know, I don't think that you can sue a tribe either.
So the county is not responsible for
They-
leasing
they
it
wrote
out,
into the
their
lease that
county
they weren't.
land?
They wrote into their lease that they would not be responsible.
And how much do they charge this organization a year?
$100 a year.
Yeah, so they're not losing any money either. Well, anyhow, I'm not going to say any more, take up the time, but it just seems like there's a lot more to be found out, or directions to go in. And thank you, Barbara, for doing the research that you're doing.
Yeah, my daughter helped me.
Thanks, Sherry. Before we go to the next person, Dennis, can you close that door for me? Thanks, it's getting a little chilly. If you can state your name
Good evening, my name is
and where you're
Tom.
from.
Can you hear me? Yeah, good evening, my name is Tom Lasik. I'm actually in District 4. I just had a few questions. So it's passed the Planning Commission, it's been approved by the Planning Commission, but is
Yes,
under appeal?
unanimously. It's been unanimously voted, approved by the Planning Commission, and we filed an appeal.
Okay, you mentioned it was on floodplain and wetland. Has there been, do you know if there's been a wetland delineation survey performed?
No.
Okay, well, that might be
don't
something
know.
you might want to take a note of, because if it's in a wetland, that could be something that's important. Also, on the CEQA, the standard for you is pretty low. You don't have to make your case beyond a reasonable doubt. You don't have to make your case based on the preponderance of the evidence. You just have to make the fair argument, and you only have to do it on one.
Oh, dear.
For them to have an EIR required. I've had conversations with Brian on other things, and so we're our orbits are not the same, but we intersect. So you do have, it sounds like you have some fair arguments that there's some issues here. If it passes, if the board approves the permit, denies the appeal, and you choose to litigate, the CEQA standard is the fair argument standard. So you might want to, think about getting counsel
Yeah,
and having that taken a look at.
yes.
Because you have, I think, more issues than, Brian's from an engineering background, not necessarily an environmental background, but it sounds like you have a broad spectrum of concerns and issues that encompass a lot of things that might help your concern and help your argument. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping that the county will see that it's a liability, and we would pursue it in court if they pass it. Any other questions? I do want to say that, we're not against the project, we're just against the location of the project. We don't feel like it's appropriate.
Thank you. Did anybody else would like to make it? If you can go to the podium and state your name and make your comment. Thanks.
Hi, I'm John Leboito. I have a farm out here by the Levee. You've unearthed some amazing things that we had never heard before. I just want to add a couple of my own observations because I tried to lease this property. I just a couple of my own observations out there because I tried to lease the property a few years ago, it appeared to me somewhere in the south end of the property, but not all the way to the south end, maybe 2/3 of the way down. There is a water course that crosses from west to east.
Yes.
Probably, only during high flows or something, but I did want to mention that.
It's at the bottom of the 110 acres. It's,
Yeah.
before you get to the rice field. Before you get to the rice fields.
Well, before you cross over into the rice field, there's a slough of the lake there. That's where they used to pump the irrigation water out of there. But I'm talking about more to the north, maybe let's say halfway up that bottom portion. There seemed to me there was a water course across there. Probably maybe only during high flows. Maybe it was just surface runoff. I don't know, but it was very notable when I was out there.
Yeah.
The other thing that in your presentation that at least I understood from the applicant's engineer, you were talking about those plastic tiles. I understood him to say that those were an underlayment for the gravel, not a surface thing.
They are covered with fill rock.
Right, they go on the bottom and the rock goes on top of them.
No, the rock is on the bottom, and then you put the pavers on it, and then you fill the pavers with rock.
Oh, okay, yes, all right, it's a two-step process.
It's like 8 inches of rock for the road and 6 inches for the 1 acre.
Okay, all right, that's my mistake, you're right, that's what he did say. And it doesn't change the fact that the quarry is not going to take the gravel back. Once it's there, it's there.
Yeah, so you can't run farm equipment on it.
It's that, any place that they put the gravel, it's gone for agriculture. I'm really, thank you for all your work. You've done
Thank you.
an amazing job.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else would like to make a public comment before we move to the next agenda item?
I would.
Yes,
I just want to thank Barbara and her daughter for the countless hours of work and research that they've together put before us here. I think it's, as a community, we have to start looking around us and really trying to preserve the land that we have, because it's leaving us. Orchards are going out, vineyards are going out, probably housing and so forth. So this is a pristine piece of property that needs to be protected. And I just want to thank you for all the work you've done.
And it can still be restored, but it's going to be hard work. It's, yeah, you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
All right, thank you, Barbara, so much for that. EJ, you would like to make a comment? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to add to it. The information, Barbara, that Tara had given me that information as well. So I just want to let you know that I do have it. What you reported.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sarah sent you the link?
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
good.
Tara. Yeah. So she sent me a lot of the research that you all have done. So that's very helpful. It's not on the agenda as of now, and I have community development ready, or not ready, but I've let them know that I want to know like a date that's projected out, because I know too that a lot of the work that's being put into research, like what you're doing, you should have that timeline, if you will. I know there's been a couple others. I think, Angie, if you remember, there was one I didn't understand how it got put so quickly. Usually appeals take quite a bit of time. They don't just come out like so. It's not on the agenda as of yet. I haven't seen it come across, and I haven't been given a timeline. So
Maybe you could urge the other board members to take a field trip out there and see what we're talking about, because what's been done to that land is I hate to say it, but it's shameful. It's been harmed since the Watershed Protection District bought it.
And that's what I know John had mentioned, and then also attempting to lease it with the county. There's still options to do that. I know that I mentioned that before, but I know a couple of the folks that wanted to lease it are like, well, it's going to be so much to maintain. But I still think it's something we need to look at, so that in case, like yourself or someone else wanted to use it or some other land as such for ag or for grazing or something like that. It didn't happen before. We have a new director, so it's still something we could look at.
But what about that 5 acres? It's going to be covered with gravel.
Right, if it passes. I mean, you still have the appeal as of now, so I'm just letting you know everything out there as of right now. I can't say it's going to pass or it's not going to pass. I can just give you the information, and you all will come to the meeting and keep doing what you're doing, and whatever happens from there is what happens from there.
I hope they're more informed than the Planning Commission.
And I know that they're seeing everything you're giving, so, yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you, EJ. Thank you, Barbara. So I'd like to bring the next agenda item on the slate is we were going to talk about our council doing our presentation at the Board of Supervisors. It hasn't been actually on the calendar yet, but I'm going to make a motion at this point because of time constraints and the important next topic to move this to our next meeting, and we'll bring it back up on the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
All approve?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, we'll move it to the next meeting then.
So that's 5.
So we're going to set up here and have Angela De Palma Dow from Clover Creek Diversion Channel. She's going to give a presentation on this very important topic.
Does she need to be plugged in?
Let me see where we're at. Okay, we'll just delay it for 1 second, so. As we're waiting for her, let's go ahead and can we go to the subcommittee and talk about Pile Road? Dave, do you want to come up to the podium and just give us an update on what happened out there? Angela, we'll come right back to you. Thanks.
An email and told me he had 5 other sites that he had to abate before, and he pretty much backed off that he had done all the paperwork and stuff to get Cody's taken care of. And Cody's site has just grown. He's got another motorhome in there, and there's junk cars all over the place and trash everywhere, of course. And they've been burning pretty regularly, and I mentioned that to him, and he said he'll get around to it, basically. And it's just going on. And this is 3 years for him. Queenie's was 5 years before it finally got cleaned up. And it just seems to me if they went in and at least threatened them, they might have some action. But they don't seem to do much of anything. They did start an abatement on Morton Street. There's a house there that has piles and piles of garbage, and my neighbor's actually helping the guy clean it up. He's paying to take the trash to the dump, and they've been working on it. They've gone well past the deadline they'd given them to clean it up, but they are making an effort, and they're getting the place cleaned up a little bit. I think that's everything I got. Are you ready?
Thank you.
Okay.
One comment about that is I'm going to try to have a representation from Copter, which is the relief program in Nice and Lucerne, to come here at some point in one of our agenda items. I really want them to start a code enforcement officer who's either participating, or Manager Marcus Beltramo to come and update us on the progress of the Copter initiative. One.
And also the free dumpsters.
Yeah. They also have a. Is this still on? Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so because I want you here too, because we talked yesterday about the
I'll have
meeting.
EJ just give me 1 second just to finish up my thought. I was going to have them come here and talk about the Copter initiative and find out what the progress is being made in the field so we have an understanding. I think a big thing about me being chairperson now in the council is I want transparency from our departments and our department heads. It may not be what we want to hear, but we want transparency of understanding what the process is for getting our challenges resolved in our communities and how we can help as a team to help resolve those issues. So EJ, did you want to comment on the dump?
You and I had talked yesterday about the email. It was Shannon who sent me the email as opposed to Marcus. She's the one who pretty much wrote the grant. That's why we didn't get it from Marcus. But I have here an email from her saying that she's willing to meet with Worth Group, and I'm pretty sure, pretty sure you would want to be there. But I figure that you as a town council need to determine who wants to be at this meeting, and then of course your committee, your ad hoc committee. They also asked if someone else, like another group, and I said Surf, because I know that they're next after Nice. They're going to keep going on down the line. So, but for your purposes, just wanted to let you know next week is looking like a time. So if you all can just decide what date and who's going to be there, we'll set that up.
Okay, I'll reach out to you for that. This is about dump days. We're going to do dump days in
Cal
Nice.
Recycle.
The Cal Recycle.
Yes.
Is this about the dump days as well?
Yes, that's that whole Cal Recycle grant situation. They want to lay it out so they can have that timeline to do all the dump days and whatnot.
Okay,
also,
so yeah.
It's what you asked to be at as well.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Okay. So,
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll reach out to you then and we'll.
Yes.
Lynn, we need a microphone. Can you come up to the podium and then speak to EJ from there? Thank you.
Um, 4088 Manzanilla Drive, Lynn Orstano. We've got a lot of abandoned houses with homeless people. I see it all night long, breaking into these abandoned homes, living in there. I think there's going to be fires one of these days. These houses are going to blow up, and they're dangerous in the neighborhood for our community in Nice. I'd like to know what you're going to do about that, too.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you for comments. Angela, are you? Here's Angela to do her presentation. Thank you so much. Yes. Thanks.
Hello. Okay. My name is Angela Tapamatau. I work for the Watershed Protection District and Water Resource Department. I am the Invasive Species Program Coordinator. I also manage a lot of our grants in our department. So tonight I'm going to be presenting to you about this is the Clover Creek Diversion Channel project. And this is a grant project we got from Caltrans. And so the focus of that is hitch habitat restoration, but we're going to use the grant to also fix some of the issues in the channel that are posing some flooding issues. And so tonight, I don't manage the levee system. I manage the aquatic plant nuisance program in Clear Lake. I manage the quagga mussel program, shoreline stewardship. There's a lot of stuff I do. I don't manage the levee, so I'm not going to be able to answer questions about all the levee management, except for this like 1 mile section that I'm managing the grant for that, okay? And I do want to acknowledge our partners. So all this funding is brought to us by Caltrans, and then we are partnering with Habimatal Pomo of Upper Lake. And so the mitigation funds, haven't you guys gone Ukiah and drove on past Blue Lakes and got stuck in the construction? All y'all? Yeah. So that construction project that's there is they had to offset their impact for the riparian area. So they're allowed to do the widening of the road and the structure and over there, but they had to offset the impact to the riparian area. And so what they do then is they have some money they've set aside that has to restore a riparian area in Lake County, and so we were able to get those funds. And I'll give you an example, more thorough example here. However, in order for that project to get funded, there's some things that have a goal. So we have a primary goal of protecting wildlife and hitch corridors, and we're going to do this through sediment removal, invasive species management, and then some native plant restoration. And then this project has built in the secondary goal of reducing flooding and improving the levee integrity for this project area. So this is actually a definition about what mitigation is. And this is the first time the Watershed Protection District has entered into a mitigation agreement with Caltrans and this program. And this might seem kind of abstract, but what this is really encouraging, because once we have this project agreement, Caltrans can enter into many more mitigation projects with us. And I mean, Caltrans is always doing projects in Lake County, right? And they're always doing projects on bridges and around creeks and around the lake. So that means those are all potential mitigation funds that they have that need to be used here in Lake County. And we can use that to restore riparian areas. And that includes the channels in the levee system here in Upper Lake, because hitch use all of those areas. And so if we're restoring those areas for hitch, we can also improve the integrity of the levees. And the mitigation, so if we have a bridge project like this and they're widening the bridge and there's impact to these riparian areas, they have to offset that impact, and we can benefit from that. So there was a presentation to Western Regional Town Hall, I think like 3 years ago. Scott DeLeon, the director of our department, came and talked to folks. There was round tables. I think it was here. There was round tables. You guys got to talk to him, and he talked about the trouble with managing the levees, right? He said, back in the day, we were able to just drive the front loaders in there and be able to dig out veg and dig out sediment. And since then, there's been a lot of regulations put in place. And one of those pertains to the Clear Lake hitch. And it prevents us from getting in the creeks and doing a lot of the work that we used to do, because we have to jump through hurdles to protect the hitch. So this program, Caltrans Mitigation, is a way that we can actually benefit from those hitch protections to then do stuff in the creeks that we need to do, like remove veg and remove sediment. So these are the projects. And if you look at any documents for this project, the project site is actually what's going on at the Blue Lakes, on Blue Lake. So those two construction projects there. The mitigation site, which is where we're doing the in-stream benefit project or the restoration project, is here. So this is Elk Mountain Road. This is the confluence of Clover Creek and Middle Creek, and we're right in there in that diversion channel is where this project is. And it's about 4.65 acres stretch when you look at it like two-dimensionally, not just linearly, and then That acre is really important because that is the amount of acres that Fish and Wildlife at the state has said Caltrans needs to offset. So the amount of money for this project is based on the amount of acres that they impact over by Blue Lakes, and that's how we can benefit by having a project for the required acres. Does this all make kind of sense? Okay, I have to go through the nitty-gritty because you have to understand where this project is coming from. So this is a historic photo of the Upper Lake Levee system, particularly, looks very familiar, the shadow of my finger right there, that's the diversion channel. So this is 1961 after they're constructed. Not a shrub in sight, right? Look at that water flowing right out. So this is March 2024, last year, this aerial image. Looks a lot different, right? Not just in the channel, but all over. So middle of the century, we cleared a lot of land. We cleared everything in the creeks. That is not always the best policy in many areas. In some places it is, but that is not the way that we manage our land today. So you guys can see there's a lot more vegetation in the historic clover here that goes through town, and as well as in the Levee channel. And as much as the water conveyance of the past, water would just rush out and go to the lake, we are paying for that now with the stuff that went into the lake. It's been there, and that's what's causing a lot of our lake issues, but also there's limited habitat. There was limited habitat in there for fish, and now we have fish in these channels. We want to maintain that habitat. And Fish and Wildlife, the state Fish and Wildlife, will not let us do any projects in the levees that doesn't also provide habitat for the hitch. So we are not going to ever be able to go to that point where we're going to be able to clear out all those channels. It's never going to be to that point again. From now on, we have to co-manage for the hitch and for flood protection in the levees. They both are tied. We're not going to get out of it. If you guys are aware, the Clear Lake Hitch is also proposed for federal listing. And since some of these are Army Corps channels and levees, we're also going to be beholden to any of those federal requirements for maintaining hitch. So we're just not going to get out of it. We just have to think about a different plan for managing these systems that include both of those priorities. So this is some drone footage snapshots we got during the summer. This all looks familiar. I'm sure you guys have all seen this, right? You all driven over Elk Mountain Road, seen that? Okay, so the goal of this project is to get more flow in the stream. If there's more space, the flow will provide more flood protection. It'll reduce erosion, but it'll also create more habitat for hitch. There'll be more water there for hitch when they're coming up the creeks to spawn. And also there'll be more water in the creek there for the juveniles once the hitch lay eggs and they hatch, for them to be able to get back to the lake instead of getting stuck. And this includes the removal of invasive trees and shrubs that are out there, and then removal of sediment, and then we're going to go through and do some stream bank restoration. And so there is a big stretch. This is on the north side of the levee. This is all Himalayan invasive blackberry. You guys can see that big stretch. Underneath that is a big, huge sediment mound. So the sediment collected, and then the blackberry took hold. The blackberry grows, and then as the blackberry's there, that structure, as water and sediment comes down the creek, it captures more of the sediment, so you get more sediment pile and more blackberry, and it's a negative feedback loop. So going through and weed whacking all this, not going to do anything. What we have to do is clear it, burn it, cut it off, and then come through with an excavator and clear all that sediment out. Maintenance of that, continuous, like on a 5-year schedule of going through and taking out pockets of sediment and removing the blackberry so they can't collect more, is the long-term plan for this area. So this is, if you're standing kind of under the bridge, looking that way. This area is pretty nice. We do have sea hitch spawning there, and we do see juveniles using that area. And I will say there's still a gauge there. So there's a Clover Creek gauge. Have you guys all used the gauge to look at how high Clover Creek gets? So if you need that gauge, if you go to our website and go to the Water Resource Department at County Lake and you go to hydrologic information, the first page has all the gauges in the county. You can click on all of them and it'll give you real time. It can tell you right now where that water level is in that stream, right there at the bridge at Elk Mountain. And we have an agreement there for, we just got a grant from DWR for 3 more years of that gauge. So you'll have this year and 3 more years of being able to know what exactly is going on in that section. And there's a history of in-channel vegetation and maintenance needs and projects that have occurred at this channel. So these are all dated. This is what the image details. When you go to the image and you look at the details when the image was created, I got those dates. So we have 2006 up there, 2008. They did a big veg clearing job, must have been in 2006 or 2007 for it to look like that. In 2008, just some sticks there. And then 2015, and then you can see the other side there. So there's been, through time, we've had a lot of veg clean out, a lot of veg clean out. It's been really hard to keep this super maintained with veg. So this project will also address scour issues. This is the scour. Have anybody seen the scour? Yes, okay. So this is, thanks, Julia, you sent me this photo recently. So, and I'm sorry, the white up there, but this is recently, 2025. This is 2024. You can see there's some shrubs there over the scour. And this is what it looked like down in the channel in 2023. So for this project, the way the scour is going to be addressed, we already have it included in our permits, and we have a plan. Once we remove the sediment pile and veg here, the water can go straight, and it's not going to get pushed into the side here and cause that scour. So this project does two things. It's going to stabilize this. We're going to put some willow walls here, so it's actually adding a vegetative line here, and then all of this is going to get cleared out, so then the water can go straight down the channel. And in 2023 winter, Department of Water Resources had plans to address the scour. They were going to come in and do some repairs, probably drop some rocks, not do anything other channel maintenance, just do the scour repair. And it didn't rate high enough on the priority for them to fund it that year. So they skipped it. And now they don't have funds for that, but we were able to include it in our project, in our permitting. So this is the original design. I'm not an engineer, so if you don't ask me too many questions about this, but this is basically a cross-section of the original design of what the levees look. So you remember that black and white photo, the aerial photo I showed you? This is from the designs from when they created the levees. Thanks to Daniela for helping me put these together back when she was at county. But this just kind of shows you where the levee roads are, the Army Corps setbacks, the DWR setbacks, and that green is actually that in-channel section there. And so if you're not really familiar with engineering cross-sections like me, we had a nice little diagram here. This is what it looks like now with that cross-section. I will mention that, I'm sure if you've driven over it, there's really large trees in there. So as a levee management agency, it's really scary to have really big trees, because if they're to come down and get pushed with any shrubs, that's how you get some real levee integrity loss. So as soon as that, the water level goes down and we don't have any nesting birds, we're actually going to go through there with Terra, Tribal Eco Restoration Alliance, and they're going to come and cut those trees down and cut them up, and we're going to get them out of there. So this is kind of what the design, the cartoon design is for this project to be completed in 2027 that was included in the permit or the application for this to Caltrans and Fish and Wildlife. And again, the goal of this project, the funding we only got the funding because we have to provide that hitch habitat. So there is going to be some native vegetation planted within the wetted width. A lot of that too will be species like some types of willow that can be used for cultural gathering by our tribal partners. A lot of the willow now, if you guys drive by, you see it, is really big, it's spindly, it's not straight, it's not great for basket making or other cultural uses. So the idea is to get some species in there that are beneficial and usable by the tribal partners, and that we can it'll be easier for us to maintain our maintenance plan. So you were talking about government transparency. Here is my budget for this project. And we got the mitigations for 246. I don't think that'll be enough to complete the whole project and do the post 5-year. Also, we're required to do 5-year post maintenance on it. So regardless, we have an agreement with the state, with Caltrans. We have to maintain this project for 5 years after the funds run out. There is an indirect that the county puts towards, and if needed, I already have established 2 potential sources for some funds to kind of help out with this project. The priority for these Caltrans funds will be the design, the engineering, and then also the construction, actually getting that sediment out. we have more wiggle room with plantings and cultural monitoring and other monitoring, and then maintenance. We have other funds for that. EJ, I didn't put your district discretionary funds on there, so I didn't confirm. That's an option, but I didn't put it on the slide. Yeah. Okay, so for permitting, so we have a lot to do for permitting for this project, but it's 90% completed. I am working right now on our monitoring agreement with Habimatal as partners. You know, the levees were built and there was no cultural involvement, and there was a lot of settlements and important artifacts that were all just scooped up and they're all piled in the levees. So I just assume every project in the levees we remove sediment, there could be something there, and our cultural partner or tribal partners need to have the time and space to be able to sort through that for anything that's of cultural importance. So we're working on that agreement for this project. It is exempt from Army Corps Engineers 404 permit because it was built by the Army Corps, so they don't need to permit something they built and then told us to take care of. Because 404 is exempt, the 401 is also waived, and then we have a final agreement with CDFW for this project. And then the last thing we have is a Central Valley Flood Protection Board. So they are the ones that are going to look at it and make sure none of the work was going to cause more floods. So they're going to look at the engineering designs and they're going to say, yep, this is intent with protecting the levees and protecting flood from, or protect from flooding. So planning and design, we're starting that now. We are contracting with a company called Coastland. We have a master agreement going to the board on the 25th that should be approved, TJ, wink, wink. And then we're going to have a specific project for this, a contract with them for that after. We went with Coastland because they were contracted through our Public Works Department when we were part of Public Works last year, and they have a wide experience of working on Public Works projects. They do stuff like this all the time, so they're going to be very efficient and effective at being able to get the designs for that. And you're probably asking, why do I need designs? Just go there and scoop out the sediment. Well, there's so much veg on the sediment, we really don't know how much sediment's there. So I can't tell you how much equipment I need. I can't tell you how much hours I need of staff time. I can't tell you what space I need to set out that sediment for the cultural monitors to go through it. So we actually have to go through and get all the veg off first, and then we can do a survey to figure out how much sediment's there. That's how bad it's gotten with how much vegetation is on top of that. Once that's done though, this company will tell us how much is gonna be removed, what the channel elevation should be based on the historic designs of when it was originally built. If there's anything that we need for the scour to have the stabilization, so they're going to look and see, is there enough breath there with the sediment removal gone? Is there anything we need to do additionally for the scour besides what our restoration plans will be? And then they're going to help us, this should say bids, not this. They're going to help us put together the bid package to get a contractor that can do the work needed for this. And I think I already said, so we actually need to do another LiDAR survey after we get all the veg out, so we know how much is there to actually remove as far as the sediment. So this is a timeline, and I will say we are behind. I am behind because of contracting. When we separated from Public Works Department, we had to restart some of our contracts, and that put us back another 6 months, a year. There's no way around it. That's just the way that happens. So this, right now, winter, spring, we're doing the design planning, we're finishing the tribal agreements, and as soon as that water level goes down though, I can get our partners at Terra, and our staff is gonna go out there and just start getting all that heavy veg out so we can get a clear shot at what sediment piles are there. Spring and summer, again, our goal is to get at least 80% of that vegetation removed to do those surveys for the sediment, and then next summer, fall, do the bid contracting, and that'll actually get that heavy equipment in there to do that work. If this schedule isn't followed, we're not going to have any bids and construction until summer 2026. We're going as fast as we can for this. And then after that, we'll be doing any of the restoration planning, doing any stabilization, making sure there's enough there to provide that hitch habitat. And then we have maintenance and monitoring that goes to at least the 5 years post-project. I will say that Caltrans loves this project, really supports it, so does the state. And if we get to a point where construction costs are out of control and we exceed our budget, they have indicated if there's additional mitigation funds to be used in the county, it could be put towards this project. So it's kind of like a safety net. We don't want to rely on it, but we absolutely could if it means the project will get completed. So barriers and challenges. So I don't give excuses, I give explanations. There's no reason why this project can't happen on its schedule, but we do have limited staff, and we have a lot of staff changes in our department. There's always changes to regulations, so we can do this project, and if the hitch gets federally listed in a month, we might have to do something additional. And then there's always changes to purchasing and contracting. So when you're using public money, even if it's through a mitigation process, and then as a county agency, we spend a lot of our time just making sure the paperwork for how we're spending our dollars is clear. And if we're contracting with a company like Coastland or contractors for like $100,000 to remove sediment, we have to do significant contracting to make sure everything is clear and what we're spending that money on. And that takes a lot of skilled time. Again, just explanation. We have to do it. That's our job as public servants, but it's just letting you guys know why stuff takes so long. We have water quality requirements. So this here is Scotts Creek merging with Middle Creek. And we have requirements to maintain water, or we have requirements through the state to limit the amount of turbidity that's in the water. So all of our projects, we have to make sure we're complying with those orders. And then this is not our only stream program grant project. So I know this is Upper Lake and Nice Town Hall, but we're also currently doing a project. This is high priority. This is in Coal Creek. This is sediment removal channel, literally the same thing, except they have hitch all over their fields and they're stranded because their creek is completely filled in with sediment. And their levees aren't Army Corps and they're not county, and nobody knows who and when they're supposed to be maintenance and managed. So because now we have Clear Lake Hitch are listed and probably gonna be federally listed, we have to dedicate time here as the district. So that's another project that is flood control oriented that we are focusing on. We also are looking at increasing the size of Highland Spring Dam and reservoir. So again, we have Clear Lake Hitch in those streams and water is drying out, but we have a reservoir on top of the streams and we can make the reservoir bigger, we can change the operation, and we can have more flows in the creek for the hitch, but we have to do some significant planning and construction on that dam. Another flood control, stormwater, hitch project that we have to focus on that we're in charge of as the district. Last one, if you've ever been to Adobe Creek, there's a culvert that has these huge a bridge that has these 6 culverts in it, and it constantly drying out every year. Hitch are getting stranded, they can't make it in the culverts, and this is a county road, county bridge, and we have a grant project to replace that with some other culverts without causing any flooding. There's some levees that were built by the county there, so we can't cause any flooding or erosion to the other areas of that system. Again, hitch project, flood control, stormwater project that we have funds and a directive that we have to do. So I just put those last 3 projects in there to give you some scope of like, we don't just manage the levees, we have to manage those kinds of systems all over the lake. But we want to do a great job on all of them. And so tonight hopefully I was able to show you a little bit about the Caltrans mitigation, how it works. Know that we can always get those funds as long as Caltrans is doing work in the county. So there could potentially always be a funding source to use for in-creek projects, including those in the levees. And I think I'll take any questions. I do want to give a shout out to the partners. So Tribal Eco Restoration Alliance, they are committed partners in this project because they understand the importance of the hitch in the creek and that the area could have tribal beneficial uses. If it was just a levee project, Terra would not be our partners. Their directives aren't just doing veg management for the sake of clearing and levee management. Their directives are to protect the environment. So we're really grateful they've partnered with us on this project. And then of course, Abimatal are partners on this project as well, because it's our ancestral land, and we really thank Caltrans for the funds. So I will take any questions. That was a lot. I talked really fast.
Thank you, Angela. Before we get to the public comment, great job.
Okay.
Before we get to public comment, I just want to mention I worked hard. Angela's been really gracious with her time, emailing me back on this presentation. Again, thank you for being thorough and transparent. I did reach out over 3 weeks to try to get the director of the water department, Director Pawan, right?
Pawan Hubadade, yeah.
To email me back, and he never did. So I invited him 3 times, and I actually had to email Angela, and she actually had to email me back after going to see him that he wasn't going to make it. I tried to get him in here, and it didn't happen. And I was really disappointed that he didn't even email me back with an explanation. Also, I talked to Linda Rosas, right?
Yeah, she is your
And she's actually the one
Levee
that
program coordinator now.
program coordinator for the levees itself, and she was on the phone with me finally, and she wasn't able to make it either. We did issue some questions, and those questions were answered, and we can get to that point probably at the Upper Lake Subcommittee comments. Before we move to comments and questions for Angela, we may extend this meeting past 7. Do we need to take action on that, or can we just proceed? So we'll be probably going past 7. These are important topics. So if you want to come to the podium and state your name and ask questions or comments. Thank you.
Ray Frederick, Upper Lake, Pitney Lane. I understood today, this morning, they were digging on my bridge over there, some county workers. They're cutting out brush on the side of the embankment. They told me they're cutting it out so they can get equipment down there to get rid of the sediment or gravel that's under the bridge. Oh, 2 months ago, they had an emergency something where they had a company come out and excavate gravel from under the bridge. What I was told today, because I asked a question, why didn't they get the, I'm going to say the south side of the bridge, why didn't they get that big gravel pile out of there too? And they said they dug on one side and dug a little bit out of the other, hoping that the water would run under the bridge and push that gravel out of the way. Well, it didn't. There's somebody on Pitney Lane took it upon themselves to get a bucket in their tractor full of gravel to stop the water from coming out of the creek, but they didn't get the other one, that when the creek gets another foot, it's going to run right back out. Well, I don't see Bobby here, but his property on Pitney and Elk Mountain flooded. My house didn't flood, thank God, because I'm at the end, but there was a few other houses that the water, you couldn't even drive across the road. Our neighbor had to call her brother from Lakeport to take her home because she couldn't get her car across the flowing water. So my question is, when you guys clean out the section you're going to do here, is that going to make the water that's up Pitney Lane, is that going to flow faster because you're going to have more water coming out towards Highway 20? Because what you 2 guys told me this morning, they're going to start burning and they're going to start putting equipment down there. Well, I don't see how they're going to put equipment down there when the water's all the way to the top. But that's just another way they bypass. You know, I've lived out there 20 some years, and I know, you know, I like to be told the truth. And it wasn't the road department this time, it was Water Resources that they said they worked for?
Yeah, so the same staff that our Water Resource Department is the Watershed Protection District. So
Okay.
the Watershed Protection District is the name over the Lake County Flood Control Water Conservation District. It changed in 2006, but we're essentially the flood managers.
Okay. Well, if you got a record of who was working out there today, you better tell the one guy to get a better attitude. Because when you ask a question, you know, you shouldn't be a smart ass, excuse the language, because it doesn't say on the door what department you work for. And you don't know if there's 2 guys with chainsaws and a county worker sitting down someplace else. So are they going to start working on that section of property?
I am not the levee manager, so I don't know what work they're doing out there. I know they go out and they look for if there's anything, especially with the high water level, if we get another storm, if there's anything there that could cause integrity loss to the levees. So any big branches that are down, big debris, anything that could scrape the levees. Pitney Lane has always been an issue, and it should just be on an automatic 3-year sediment removal program until there's something fixed upstream, or we get some increased flow downstream, like you said, for this project. I'm not an engineer, hydraulist. I can't tell you exactly if once we clear out Clover diversion channel, if that's going to improve where the water can go. I would think so, but I'm going to ask Coastland how it might impact the upstream flows.
I understand about the fish, but I mean.
But they go up Pitney Lane too.
They go up Pitney, we've seen them.
And gravel is a recognized barrier by the state of California to hitch. So you can twist any sort of flood control project that has sediment to a hitch protection project, and you can get a lot more funding. And
But if they did this job in the summertime when there's no water flow, there should not be any hitch in that gravel.
That is correct.
So.
I don't manage the schedules.
I mean, they've been putting this off, you know, they're going to start it now. They had to put it off because of fires. Going to start it now while it started raining. Well.
I'm noting your comments. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll pass them to Linda and Puan.
Okay.
Thank you. Who else would like to make a comment? If you can come up to the podium, state your name, and then thank you.
Is it a question about this project?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yay!
John Laboito again. First thing I want to say is that I have noted, and I'm really glad to see, the uptick in the competence and knowledgeability of water resources personnel over the last year or two. I mean, it really is better.
Thank you.
The question I have about this particular project, the flood control channel, is that when that whole thing was designed, perfect picture, no vegetation, nothing in that channel. The way it was supposed to work was that only high flows were supposed to go down that flood control channel, and the balance of and when the creek was flowing at a lower level, it was all supposed to go down the historic channel through town. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, you know, if the flood control channel wasn't supposed to have any water in it most of the time, then there shouldn't be any hitch there. But there is, and I keep coming back to this, and it's like, you know, come into the 20th century, John. There's hitch there now. I guess that's what we have to look at.
The hitch go everywhere. Like the Coal Creek photo, they're in the fields. They're in farm ditches. Yeah, they see water, they go.
Yeah. I came from Humboldt County. The salmon used to come up the rows between the corn in the farm fields. So I guess that was my only question, is that I guess you need to come around to accepting that's a fish-bearing stream now, even though it wasn't supposed to be.
I will tell you that the district is starting a community science hitch observation program. So if you are interested in learning about hitch near you, you can enroll in that and actually provide some hitch data that'll help us better manage and help us get more funds too for projects here in Lake County.
So it sounds like what an aging farmer could do. You can't walk around so good anymore and come to meeting. The other thing I want to say, because I've been out there watching this for 10, 12 years now, a lot of problems up Pitney Lane, all the way up. As far as the levees extend, I mean, up at the very top on the High Glade Road, there's a levee there that has walnut trees growing out of the middle of the levee.
There is way upstream, sorry to interrupt, but upstream there is a large sediment. I've reported it to Fish and Wildlife. I brought it up our hitch task force. There is a property where it looks like somebody's just driving equipment across the creek and moving a bunch of sediment. You could see the striations, and it's very concerning because they are loosening up all the gravel, and then when the big rains come, they're pushing it down Pitney Lane. So I've reported that property. I've brought it up. I would love for anybody in here to Google and find it and then report that at CalTIP. That will help us do our job and get the enforcement, because I'm having trouble getting them. There's a lock gate there. They can't get out. And if it's your property in here, don't say anything because I'm going to get you. But that is a big issue.
Yeah, I think there was
Obviously, we have to spend so much money on that Pitney Lane gravel extraction, and if it's because somebody upstream is moving gravel around in their little Bobcat, that's an issue. Sorry to bogart your time.
That's fine. I think there was a major design flaw as you reached up Pitney Lane on those levees anyway. They're far too close to the creek.
But that would never fly now because Fish and Wildlife never approve a creek to look like that. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. Any other questions? Are you okay? It's like she's not leaving yet.
Hi. So first, thank you for your fantastic, as usual, great public speaking engagement presentation. Bravo.
Thank you.
It was very informative. I think the community probably really appreciates it too. I have one clarification question. Out of those priority projects, I think there are 4 or 5 of them, this particular project here in Upper Lake with the scouring, or as most people know it as sloughing off, what are the priorities of all of those? Do the people that are involved, like I know Cold Creek has farms involved, here has farms involved, does that make us more of a priority than if there weren't homes and farms involved? What is the priority of those different high potential
I can't answer that question. They're literally all priorities, and every day I am torn in 10 different high priority directions. So I can't answer that. I'm really sorry. I feel like that's the truth. Okay, anything else? I will say this presentation is on our website. I put it up there this afternoon. If you go to County of Lake Water Resources and you go to programs and projects, and then you go to stream restoration, scroll down, and it's on there. So thank you guys for coming.
Lake water.
Thank you, Angela, so much. Appreciate your response and high energy presentation. We're going to go next to the Upper Lake Levee Subcommittee report.
Thank you.
And Julie, would you like to go to the podium and make a presentation? I also want to comment on this, that we did issue some questions to Linda and the department on the levee situation, and they did come back with some written answers, which I have copies of here. I don't know if how we want to present those in our meeting here.
It would be nice if the subcommittee could get a copy of them.
Yeah.
Since they're the ones that put the questions forward.
Is there a reason why we skipped?
So quickly, I can do that, thanks. Quickly, this is the presentation for the subcommittee, quite frankly. And I want to thank community members who are starting to take drone footage of the levee system during the rains, after the rains. People are stepping forward to help on this situation. I really want to thank them. I want to thank the committee members, the subcommittee members, Walt Christensen and John LeBoyle. Did I mispronounce that? Sorry if I did. I sent Angela today a picture because of, as of 3 days ago, we have more scouring taking place. And based on the presentation, it looks like all of that scouring will be taken care of one way or another. I hope, the timing is a little off. I just still don't understand why we can't create an emergency situation since we're losing 2 feet of levee bank every rainstorm and get something done, but that's not happening. So that's the Upper Lake Levee Subcommittee report. I have pictures of the most recent scouring that Angela put up in her slideshow. If you need a copy, I'll put it on the table. I would really like the copy of this scouring to be in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I can work again on trying to get I do have a copy of the letter and answers to the questions. We'll issue this in the minutes as well as, did I give you one? There you go, you bet. Thank you. If you'd like a copy of it as well, you can come up after the meeting and I can give one to you. I'll work hard in getting Levee manager, or the Department of Water Resources, to come here again. I think everybody would like to see him do a presentation. Am I right? And Linda as well. So she's directly working with those. And again, I'll work on that. So let's go down to Subcommittee Upper Lake Traffic Study.
My name is Claudine, and I didn't make a response last meeting to the comment that was made regarding the school safety should be handled by the school. So anyway, I am on the board, and it is my mission at the school board to bring awareness to issues that are surrounding the schools. And the schools, the three of them, bring in a lot of traffic in the morning and in the afternoon. So as far as being aware of how important it is for the cars to slow down and be aware of the students coming and going. I asked pointedly last meeting, Tuesday, to look into a letter going out to all the parents to identify proper usage of the handicap parking zones, and the comings and goings. When you don't stop at a red curb, you stop, the child gets out, and then you go. You don't park there. So they, Stephanie Wyman, who is the principal at the elementary, got on it right away, and I left some flyers in the back, and 435 parents, families these were mailed to remind them about actually etiquette when you're using a parking lot. So it talks again, people have been misusing the handicap zone, stop, and students are to exit the cars, and then the cars move on. It's very congested. I'm hoping that this might make an impact, make a difference. I also asked about other areas of parking for maybe the staff, but the number of students continues to increase, and we have to put in new facilities. And the facility that I mentioned that might be used for staff parking is going to be soon, grading and things are going to be done for it to accommodate additional classrooms. Mary and Ray are on the subcommittee, and they forwarded me the information on AB 413, which is a law that has been passed. In other words, when you come to a crosswalk, you cannot block it. You have to be 20 feet behind. Well, the problem with the elementary, and I did check with Public Works, we do not have an official crosswalk because the other side of the street, of 2nd Street, is not, there's no sidewalk. So we're going to have to look at another way of safely crossing those students and the parents when they come for drop off and pick up. So anyway, I will continue to work on that, and you can take a look at the flyers that were sent out to the parents' families that these 435 students represent. And that's just the elementary. That's not counting the middle school or the high school population. So our schools are very full right now and are increasingly full, and we're going to have to accommodate by additional, probably at some point, bonds and to facilitate new buildings. And one other thing I wanted to say, the flashing lights on Government entering 20 and Main Street entering 20 are very efficient, but I have to share two situations. I came up to make a right onto Highway 20, and these two incidents that I've seen. There was a man and a woman who were going to just proceed across, and a truck came barreling down 20, and they quickly got back, and I rolled down, put my window down and said, "You've got to press the button." This is, and a second time I noted the same thing. I said, "You've got to press the button." So my hope is that education will come to these people that are using these crosswalks. It's essential, because when you step out on 20, the speed is careless and reckless. So anyway, I'm going to keep going. Anybody have any questions?
Danny Wynn is here. He wanted to make a comment. Thank you, Danny. He'll introduce himself and how he wanted to make a comment about helping out in this situation. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, I'll be brief.
You can tilt that up.
Go ahead and state your name, Danny, and the committee you're with.
No, use the.
Got it.
There you got it.
How about this?
Yes.
Danny Wind, I did a little presentation about safe streets, productive streets a little while ago. Some of you might remember. Thanks for attending. Thanks for having me tonight. Danny Wind, I'm a Lakeport resident. I'm crashing the meeting, sorry. I'll have a couple questions and then I'll explain to you my sort of modus operandi, sort of my direction that I want to head and try to help you guys with some of this. But I want to start with a couple questions that I think I can easily get answers to. Who puts on your Upper Lake Merchant parade? Is your light parade in downtown Upper Lake come Christmas time? Is that your Upper Lake Merchants Association? No. Main Street Association?
Community.
School?
The school and the community was the answer.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And second question, is there any other parades or markets that they do close down Main Street here for?
Homecoming.
Homecoming, thank you. Perfect. That about does it. So to give you an idea of the approach that I'm looking at and what other cities in California are doing is effectively they do sort of traffic calming using temporary materials as a sort of pilot project as interim while you're waiting for those larger construction projects. So many of you, I'm sure, have seen over between here and Ukiah where, like, for example, they put in all those plastic bollards going up the hill as you're coming back from Ukiah because people are speeding, going quite quickly when there's 2 lanes coming up over the hill. And so to reduce that, they put the traffic cones on the side. Similar sorts of ideas can be applied to our local streets. It's a little bit easier with county roads if you just go through that sort of process of getting event permitting and insurance and nonprofit organizations to help with that. And I'm sure some people in this room have maybe heard of blue zones. They are also interested in built environment, so they are also interested in helping out with that. So that is sort of my 2 cents. I guess if I had one more question, is your subcommittee still meeting outside of this meeting? And when's the next date?
Well,
it's okay if not.
Yeah,
we can talk after.
Well, we have been communicating, and that's, yeah, we need to officially come together.
So
that's okay.
Should we invite him to one?
I will get your email from Thomas tomorrow. We have another meeting. Oh, I didn't mention. I'm also on the Caltrans District 1 Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee meeting. So we'll be at that tomorrow.
I just wanted to add that when you brought up the blue zone, I spoke with Stephanie Wayman, and the elementary will be working in unison with the blue zone.
So yeah, if anyone's interested, I forget which elementary school, but the elementary school in Clear Lake proper recently changed one of their streets to a one-way, and that was with the help of blue zones.
And we were the first school to connect with the blue zone.
Hey, right on. Good on you. Rather than run the mic over here, I'll just ask what the question is and repeat it, if that's okay. What's up?
I'm seeing other cities are doing speed cameras and license plate readers. Are you hearing that too?
Yeah, City of Lakeport has license plate readers. They don't have speed cameras. There's definitely conversation to be had about that. But yeah, it varies by municipality and obviously upkeep. So yeah, definitely worth a conversation in the future. So. Is that it? Anybody else? Quick questions? No? Good. Okay, let's get you home for dinner.
Thanks, Danny. Well, we got a little bit more to do, but thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you.
The next up is Supervisor Crandall, Supervisor Report. Just updates and things he's working on. I put that on the agenda now so we know what our supervisor's up to and things that we may have missed.
So just I think to answer, Lynn, your question about license plate readers, we do have them. We have about 22 in our district still as of right now.
One of the cameras is missing on Hudson.
Yeah.
And I saw a kid just fly through the stop sign.
So she's saying that one of the cameras is missing. I have a lot of reports of the cameras that are being damaged. So there is going to be maintenance on those. So just know that they're there. But they only get the license plate numbers, the time, the date. They keep it for 30 days. Law enforcement has access to it. Code enforcement will have access to it considering the dumping. We've been able to work out a system and collaboration with code enforcement so they can have access as well. So just giving that information. You brought it up, so I wanted to make sure you knew that. Yeah. Let's see. There was something. The cow recycle meeting, I already mentioned that earlier, that if you can find a date next week, give me some idea of what you want to do with that, because we'd like to get that moving. It's already a little behind, and we want to make sure that you all know. And then the committee, Dave, you and the group can be out there as well when that happens. I did give them some information for the waste company to how we've done the Lucerne dump days and whatnot. So we're hoping to do something like that. I'm hoping that they made that progress in the meeting that we had a month back. I'd given that information and told them that they've been doing that not only with us in Lucerne, but Clear Lake does it as well. They go to the park, bring everything there, they smush down the garbage in the big trucks, and then they keep it going through the bins. So in the last year and a half, we've done, I want to say, 60,000 cubic feet, which I don't know how many tons that is, but they've done quite a bit. I'm pretty sure you know about it. So Ray, you pretty, I don't know the amount, but
Retired.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Ray. But yeah, so that's been ongoing, but we're hoping that this helps with that. The goal is to continue forward, not just use this grant and be done. We want to continue, and that's one thing that I emphasized when we had that meeting, and when we have the meeting with you all and them, let's emphasize that and keep it moving. So just wanted to give you that insight. One of the biggest things I think is coming up here, and I'm pretty sure it'll be on the agenda this week. If you've noticed on the agendas, we've been talking quite on closed session. You've probably seen that we have been talking about the Potter Valley project quite frequently, Lake Pillsbury being the situation. And so now, if you don't know, the groups, whether it be Humboldt, who came out and voted to support decommissioning the Sonoma Water, Mendocino Inland Water, and then also, I want to say, Cal Trout and Round Valley Indian Tribes have all signed on to support that, and obviously because they all receive some sort of benefit, which is obviously the water, right? We are the headwaters. We've maintained that stance. We've talked about it in open session, and so I'm pretty sure, confident, because we have a couple meetings, but it looks like that's what we'll be talking about Tuesday. There'll be something to talk about on that, because as of now, there really doesn't seem to be any point to keep going on closed session when everybody's pretty much signed on to the other situation. And so if you don't know, we've maintained the stance that we want. We value Lake Pillsbury. We would like to see specific things in place. We have Plan A, which is we would like to see studies. We would like to see, the studies that have been done for the past 20 years have always been basically with the mindset to decommission. And we've always been touting that we need to look at other amounts and other studies that show decommissioning. Yes, that's fine, but what if you kept it? What's the costs there? What's the situation there? And so there's always been, I don't know what the word is, but it just hasn't happened enough. So that's why we have the agreement with a group called SLR, who has done some studies for us. We got a grant from the Department of Water Resources to study that whole, basically our perspective. And so we're currently still meeting with them. I think they're coming up on a closeout on that, but that was our goal because we haven't received that. When we went back to the first announcement that they made to move forward with decommissioning and abandoning PG&E abandoning that dam, they were looking at what was called the NOI, Notice of Intent, and then there was an NOI group, and if you remember, we were trying to be a part of that NOI group. We put up the $100,000 and they didn't include us. And so since then it's just been downhill. We've been taking our stance, and every single group, Potter Valley Project, Russian River Water Forum, and now they have another group that they've been a part of, has been the same thing. It's basically just, how can we take down the dam? Who's going to take it over if not? PG&E is not obligated to Brown Act rules. And so it puts us in a dicey situation, especially when we weren't allowed to be a part of the NOI group. So we weren't allowed to see the studies that they had or see the documents or anything that they went over. They gave us the opportunity to work through Mendocino Inland Water, but that didn't work out either. And when at the time, we were still represented by Garamendi. Garamendi would ask us, well, when Garamendi rezoned redistricted and we became Thompson's district, he asked for minutes of that meeting. And we're like, well, that was done very strategically because there's no minutes and it wasn't covered under any type of Brown Act or anything with that group. So we were stuck like, we don't have that. So it's just a verbal, like 4-1 vote. Their 4-1 vote to basically exclude us from that group was, the rule was it had to be unanimous to allow us in. But the other groups, Round Valley, Mendocino Inland Water, Sonoma Water, and then Humboldt, they all voted to allow us at the table, but Caltrout said they didn't want us, and so that's what kept us out of it. So long story short, we've always had this issue where we've never been given the opportunity to accentuate how important the dam is, the water is, what the cost would be if we were to look at keeping it intact. And so it's just always been like this whole thing where it's happening anyhow and who's going to take it over. So we're at that point where the FERC process is being reviewed, and we are going to probably be talking about that Tuesday, what we're going to be looking forward to doing. And it's very unfortunate because we were hoping that our concerns would be more considered. We did have a group called Cal Wild come forward that wanted to do a grant. At first it was touted that they wanted to look at their funding being used towards the aftermath of the decommissioning, but we're saying no, we would rather if you're going to come and do something and we're going to agree with you, it needs to be something that if the dam stays or if it, we're not just going to agree with you because of that, right? So they had started making more moves towards saying, okay, well, if the dam stays, we're still going to do this anyhow. So, Cal Wild it's like a nonprofit that's trying to restore the recreational lands and also the habitat as well. So they're neither here nor there when it comes to this whole decision. We did some tours. Congressman Thompson has been a very good representative for us, getting us seats at the table, meetings with different people. He's the one that connected us with Cal Wild as well. He's the one that took our letter and got it to PG&E. There were some meetings. Cecilia Aguilar Curry actually really helped too, because when we gave her a presentation, she had ensured that the Department of Water Resources met with us. That's how we got the grant for SLR. So there has been a lot more movement, I would say, with Thompson as our representative. Nothing against Garamendi, but it got a lot better with him. But I think it's because he understands, he's been dealing with it for however long it's been going on, like since the 90s or 80s, because he used to represent us then. So he's been a really big ally on that. So that's been one of the things that we've been really, I don't know if you want to say battling, but it's caused a big uproar. The communities at large, the farmers are upset down in Sonoma and whatnot. We did a presentation at the Russian River Water Forum back in 23 November or September, one of those big issue that we've been addressing lately. It's been taking some time. Let's see. That's what I have on my list for now.
Just a comment. Thank you so much. When I read that the tribe, they made an agreement for the flow of water, I guess, and I knew it was kind of a done deal.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the next couple of years or 3 years they're going to decommission it, blow it up, and let the water flow out of there.
Right.
And
that's been a frustration of mine. I've been very vocal about it. Is that whenever you read the video, or the videos, but the articles and whatnot, they always say the tribes. Well, Round Valley is one tribe. It's a really big tribe, and it's considered the Round Valley Indian tribes.
Well,
because
that's what I meant.
No,
That-
no, no,
that
I'm
tribe,
not saying,
yeah.
I'm saying that the articles, they're kind of deceiving because,
Oh, yeah.
you know, there's other tribes that are downstream in Sonoma that are like, well, we don't agree with that.
Right.
You know, so that's one of the things we tried to do as well, is put out letters to, like in the Press Democrat and whatnot, media releases to, you know, correct some of those statements, right? Lynn?
You know, this is a huge political fight between Newsom and Trump. I mean, the LA fires, they said Newsom wasn't storing enough water.
Thanks, Lynn. I know.
LA put the fires out.
Thanks, Lynn.
Wasn't enough storage for water.
Thank you, Lynn. We need to, we understand. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks. Anything else, Supervisor?
That's what I have for now, and I'll
Okay.
stay for questions.
Okay, great. So one last thing before we go. Announcements.
Announcements.
You want me to announce?
Tomorrow from 8 to 10 at what was formerly Sons of Italy Project, now known as the Nice Event Center in Nice, there will be a Gleaners grocery distribution. We have groceries for 216 households, and if anyone, sometimes we run out by a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and I'll be issuing slips for people to go directly to the Gleaners main location in Findlay to pick up groceries that we won't have for them. No one will be turned away.
Thank you. Tomorrow, that's a great thing. And would you like to just state your name and where?
Pull the microphone down.
Just tilt, there you go.
Well,
There you go.
Thank you. Margot Kambara, District 4. Aloha Worth. Lucerne Alpine Senior Center is hosting free ukulele and guitar classes on Thursdays at noon. These classes are available to people who are 60 years old young, at least, and also to their accompanying caregivers. So this class is a group class, and the invitation is to learn to play and play music with others live. Make friends and music. Thank you. I have another announcement too. This is for a meeting tomorrow, and at today's meeting, you indicated an interest, a keen interest on land use, on what's happening with the Biochar project. Well, Lake County is in the process of updating its general plan, and your area is updating the local area plan. Tomorrow is a meeting of the General Plan Advisory Committee, and on the agenda are some land use questions, such as changes to community growth boundaries and the area plan boundaries, and that's going to affect how our county is going to look and function, whether we're going to retain our agricultural nature and our small town feel, whether we're going to have, you know, where are we going to put housing. There's going to be a presentation on the housing plan, and there's going to be a segment of the meeting devoted to what are the recommendations to the Board of Supervisors for the general plan. So the meeting is tomorrow from 3 to 6 in the county courthouse in the board chambers. And if you want to look for more information on this, please go to the county website for the general plan, and that is lakecounty2050.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements tonight? Come on up.
Did we have the Zoom link working?
No, we did not.
Some people wanted to say something.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Zoom changed the passcode. It just said, I just looked at, when you looked at it, it says new. So the webinar ID is the correct one. The passcode got changed. So I'm sending it out to the people. The chair will get it. I'm sorry. And this is Zoom. This isn't any technical thing on my side.
Yeah, we're sorry about that. We want to make sure everybody has a voice in reacting and asking questions in this community.
You know, you can always watch it on YouTube, our Lake County PEG TV YouTube link.
Did you mention that on the Upper Lake Connect? So whenever people wanted to
To the YouTube? Okay.
You had the wrong code.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and it went long, but it's important, these issues that come up. So thank you so much for taking your time out tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We have I moved that we adjourn the
A
meeting.
second?
Second.
All approve?
Aye.
Any opposed? Adjourn. Thank you so much. Have a great night.